Welcome to this PwC interview preparation guide. This is with respect to the forthcoming PwC interview. And at least this session first is to give you an understanding of what the interview process looks like and what you should be expecting at the end of the day. This is not a session where we discuss maybe common questions that you should be expecting. This one, however, is more about the general overview of the interview. So if you have made it through the test stage for this year's interview, congratulations, and then you would be needing this video. And then you're free to invite or call other people who you know that are also in the same shoe as you who would need this session, and it will help them in preparing for their interview, right? So what we're going to cover here is introduction. We're going to talk a bit about PwC interview. Then we're going to talk about a bit of things you should expect in preparing for the interview. Then I'm going to outline some of the tips that I have. Now, this is from research and consultation with people who have gone through this process that you are about to go through, right? So it does not necessarily mean that we work with PwC or that we have PwC past questions or anything like that. So it's based on people's experience. We have curated this to guide you and enable you have a good standing when preparing for your forthcoming interview. That said, I've done a little bit of introduction already. So just so that you know, this is being organized by FastHire. FastHire is a career brand. We cater to professionals, and we literally say that we help professionals get ahead in their career. Now, that could be through our writing services, our consultation, or our coaching services, whichever one. So from your CV writing to cover letter, LinkedIn optimization, interview coaching. So you need assistance, conducting a mock interview for yourself. We're here for you. Other recruitment services that we also render to employers and writing services as the case may be. So that's a bit about FastHire. You can check us, our channel on YouTube. There are other relevant information just like this one that you are going through. And also you can check our website, www.thefasthire.org. Our social media is at FastHire Services across our social platforms. Now that said, let's take a little look into PwC interview. So now PwC, first of all, is a consulting firm that covers audit, tax, assurance, and advisory. So expect questions that will test you for relevant basic knowledge of accounting, finance, and business. So you need to understand, or let's maybe you're applying for a technical, an IT role within PwC, which I don't think are the major or is a major focus of this year's recruitment, right? So it means that you need to understand what PwC is as an organization. So this is also me saying that ensure that you go and do a little research, read about PwC and some of their top clients so that you have that information, right? The interview usually before in the past used to just be one stage, just like the test stage. But we're also hearing now that the test stage might be two, and the interview stage from last year, from last recruitment, they have now made it two. So there's the HR interview, and then there's the second interview, which you could either call partner interview or business interview. That one probably you're going to be speaking with maybe a more higher people ranked in the organization, not just the HR people who will be doing the first stage. So this is the overview, and then some of the things to expect from PwC interview. Expect behavioral questions that will test you for your attitude, your value alignment with the organization, and your cultural fit. So those questions will come, right? They want to know how you would react in certain situations. They want to paint a picture of a scenario and then ask you what you do, or they might ask you what you have done in a similar scenario. Let's say, for instance, they might ask you a question like, tell us a time you handled the leadership position and what you did. Do you understand? Or tell us a time where you had to deal with an angry client. So those are behavioral questions that really want to test or sieve out your value alignment and all of those things. Now, technical questions, this could be role specific. So expect technical questions. This is where I was talking about expect questions that will test your knowledge of accounting, tax, and all the rest. So one of the buzzing conversation now in Nigeria is the new tax policy or tax law, as the case may be. So for instance, you should have gone to read about it and know what the summary of the new tax policy is, just in case, because we need to be updated. It might just throw it out or it might just pop up. Now, they would also have case studies where you have to be involved in problem solving. I think in another class, we're going to be discussing some of the we're going to review some sample case study questions and see how it can be tackled. So expect questions from your resume. It's also possible that they can pick questions from your resume. So know your CV, you understand, know what you have put in there, know the skills you have mentioned, know the places you've mentioned that you work at, because they might just ask you questions from them. So expect them to also ask you to ask them questions. Now, this is not the point where when they ask you, do you have a question for us? You say no question. You must have a question, right? So expect them to ask you if you have any question for them. And at least, depending on the time you're giving, you should ask at least one or two intelligent questions. Now, this is not the place where you start asking how much is the salary. That is not the place. You should have done that finding before then. This is the place where you're asking questions like, if I am choosing for this role, what are the yardstick, what are the KPIs that will determine my success or my failure in this role? Or you could ask questions like, oh, for you, what was your inspiration to join PwC? Or what would be the daily routine? What would be my daily routine if I'm choosing for this role? So I've already given you like 3 questions you can possibly pop up and when you ask, do you have any question for us? So you don't want to start asking how much is the salary for this role. And one funny thing people do is start asking who are PwC's top clients. That's your work to do. You should have done that research long before you come into that interview. So also expect that your interview will not be done by one person. You're going to likely sit with an average of 3 to 5 people. Most people have reported that it's 3 people that were involved in their own process, but just expect the max should be 5, but usually maybe 3. So 3 is like the standard for them. The interview also takes around 35 minutes to 1 hour. Well, 1 hour is very rare, but on average, expect 35 to 40 minutes and you'll be done with your session. All right. One other thing you need to know is that PwC interviews are quite friendly. They find a way to help you get relaxed so they don't put you under pressure so that you start feeling the questions. And they have a supportive atmosphere. That's another thing. So also expect that it's possible that one of the interviews will be virtual and one will be physical. So remember now, I said in the past it used to be just one interview, but now they have switched to 2 interviews. So expect one to be virtual and expect one to be physical. Again, if you need any further assistance preparing for this interview or you have question, you can just start commenting so that I'll take note of them. Tips on how to prepare for an ASP of this interview, which is the next thing we're going to talk about. So first things, these are some of the things you need to know. PwC thrives on collaboration and teamwork. Expect questions that will test your knowledge, your teamwork skills, and leadership potentials. And have so when you expect that, have a way of communicating that. Team players thrive more at PwC. So PwC is not a place where you're a lone star, right? PwC is a place where you have to actually be involved in the system. You have to have involvement with all the other colleagues working with you. Do you understand? So lone stars don't shine in at PwC. Understand PwC services, key clients, recent developments in the Nigerian market. So I know that PwC works with some aviation companies, some banks. PwC also works with them. So I think some of their key clients, Zenith Bank is there. I think Stanbic IBTC is there, and you can do more research to know who are the top clients of PwC. So you need to understand what their key services are and who their key clients are. You can also do some research about that. So do that. So PwC services include, I think I've mentioned that before, right? So you need to know that PwC values intellectual curiosity and creativity. This is why it's very important that you prepare intelligent questions that you would ask. I think we'll also cover in another class, we'll cover how possible questions you can ask during the interview. Not all questions thrown at you during the interview has a perfect answer. Most times, the questions thrown at you will only test your ability to think, form an opinion, and make convincing recommendation. So in the next session, where we're going to be talking about sample questions and answer, the idea is not for you to cram the answer. The idea is to show you how to formulate answer. So because there are questions that will be thrown at you, there's no perfect answer. There's no right or wrong answer, right? But it's how well are you able to think, come up with a good answer, and then maybe give good positive recommendations or reasons why you went with the answer you went to. So expect such. So make sure you research PwC professional framework. The graduate training, the rule and the organization's core values to gain an understanding of the skills and behavioral traits. Okay, so if you're applying for a graduate training role, I think usually you're asked to pick, you see a department now or a unit that you would work under. So you should also have your reasons for picking that unit or that department. So because you might get that question to say, why did you pick this department or why did you pick this unit? So prepare whatever unit you have chosen, know how that unit adds up to you and what you can contribute in that unit. Be ready to talk about your experience, achievements mentioned in your resume. I think I've talked about it because they might ask you questions from your CV just to be sure that you did not impersonate another person's information. You'll be evaluated your ability to listen, communicate, and persuade. So this is supposed to be persuade. So supposed to be persuade. So in conclusion, right, PwC has more business and private sector involvement and less government intervention. So it means that whatever questions you ask, especially for the case studies or when you ask questions that will test your ability to think, form a decision, and ensure that your answers are usually tilted towards private sector involvement. They don't involve themselves with government. So henceforth, you have to stay abreast with what PwC is doing. Do you understand? So you need to know what PwC is doing and constantly stay ahead of it, right? So you cannot sit on the fence. If any news about PwC, you're reading it. You also need to start reading. You need to go and read PwC site, get more insight about them. Also, keep abreast with Business Day newspaper. I believe that's one newspaper that carries business information in Nigeria. So yeah, so that you still have abreast with stories developing in Nigeria in terms of business. Okay, so also know how your skill, knowledge, experience align with the units you have picked. I think I've talked about this. So it's not just about picking a unit. Why did you pick that unit? What do you have that convinced you that you can be effective in that unit? So also know how your skill, okay, HR interview, which is focused at gathering information about you. Okay. Okay, I think here I was trying to explain what the two interviews that PwC goes through does. So the HR interview, which is the first one, is aimed at gathering information about you, your biography, CV base, you get experience, competence. You also ask questions in this one. Why the second interview, here you meet with some of the management team or partners. You understand it's more about your competency, technical, so technical question and case studies are the ones that you really get here. The focus is to see how you analyze real business challenge, formulate conclusion, and present recommendation. So one other question somebody was asking, how much do graduate trainees in at PwC? Well, I think that's one. We'll find a way to answer it in the next session that we're going to be having. So, but we have covered. If you have any question, let me know so that I know what I will start treating. But I think this information I've put together is going to help those preparing so that you know what to get ahead. So I know some of you might have peeped the bottom part where I have common PwC questions that have it. So like I said, it's not for this particular session. So let's be done with this. Let's be sure that everybody's carried along. Then you can create the next session where we now start discussing common questions, even talk about case studies as you approach your interview session. So if you've also not subscribed to our channel, you feel free to do that now so that you also stay in touch and then maybe get some people who you know are in the process. We have a lot of information we'll be putting out that will be helpful then. If you also need this information that I just shared now, you can also leave a comment that you need a document and we'll find a way to get that across to you. So thank you so much. I'll be waiting for your questions and then supply answers where and when necessary.